Those of you who know me well might have realised that just before Mass I wasn't my usual self. So I go to confession. There were a number of things that happened that none of you would ever see in preparing for a Mass, and they all came together at once. So I was in a bit of a hurry, and if I was a bit short with someone, or any of you, not the usual self, I'm very sorry. I apologise, but I'm also human. For those of you who know me, you would know that I often speak of or quote Pope Francis. He has been and remains my hero. I also have to confess that heroes in my life don't work, and I am very reticent to proclaim anyone my hero because everything usually goes wrong. I do them a disservice. But Pope Francis, he's been a great hero. On Monday, I got a phone call, believe it or not, on my WhatsApp from a friend in London to say the Pope died. I said, what? So I dropped the phone and went and turned the TV on. And I must say that I was numb for a few minutes. But that is life. And then when I came here, a Mass on Friday, the remembrance book's down there if you want to sign it. It's put out by the Nunciature. I naturally wrote in it, Francis, my dear friend and companion in faith. I didn't plan it, I just wrote it. And I wrote that with true humility and sincerity. I never spent great times with the Pope, never went anywhere with him, but I remember how I became his dear friend and companion in the faith. It was during COVID. During COVID, the Pope did the world a great service by YouTubing, putting online his daily Mass. So every day I look forward during COVID to going to Mass with the Pope. I don't wish COVID on anybody, but there are a number of things I remember and treasure about COVID. One was going to Mass with the Pope. And he taught me, for the first time in my life, what spiritual communion really meant. That we can be in communion with each other and we don't have to be there in front of each other shaking hands and talking. We are in spiritual communion. I remember his standing in a dark St. Peter's Square, speaking to Rome and the world on a dark, dreary night. His message echoes in my ears. It was just amazing. He basically taught us, the world, that here was a chance to come out renewed and refreshed. He said going into a crisis, you shouldn't come out of it the same. If I wanted to encapsulate his motto for the world, he would have said, all for one, one for all. But he was to be disappointed because he said more than once, the world didn't change and didn't get the message. For me, the message of COVID was encapsulated in 3 words: respect, responsibility, and solidarity. And they stay with me. And out of COVID, Pope Francis became my dear friend and companion in faith, a true hero. And we don't stand here to praise Caesar, but rather to respect the gospel and learn from it. Each of us lives the gospel. Each of us is a living gospel, and we present the gospel. Francis was but one of billions upon billions, but he was special because of the role he had. As I was reading the many articles about him, a theologian that I respect incredibly said that Pope Francis's greatest encyclical or writing was Amoris Laetitia. And I thought, really? I thought it was Laudato Si. But I respect my friend the theologian, and I read it. It was written to the world after the Synod on the Family. And it's about family life, but it's about much more. There were 2 things I wanted to share with you that speak of the greatness of this document from Francis. He enlightens the world and says, when dealing with those who have difficulties in living God's law, when dealing with us, when we are weak, fragile and sinful, What does he say to do? He says, follow the via caritatis, follow the way of love. Don't berate, don't judge. Follow the way of love. Embrace and love your brother and sister in their weakness, their sinfulness, their fragility. Embrace me and my weakness, fragility, and sinfulness. That is what we do as Christians. And he goes on to talk about the great principle in living out the way of love is the principle of pastoral mercy. He basically says that in terms of marriage, uphold the vision, always, no matter what. But always reach out in mercy to the other whenever they are falling, whenever they are failing. Live out always the precepts, the principles, the vision, the ideals of the gospel. But when we are failing, let us apply to each other the pastoral principle of mercy, and thus we lift each other up. He is very clear in following the via caritatis, in living out the principle of pastoral mercy. We are letting others follow their way to God. We are respecting their way, and we are letting them get to God through their journey, not through my journey, not through a journey defined by certain laws and rules, but by the journey that is begun and lived out with a God who is a God of love, a God who is our friend and our most intimate lover that we'll ever know in our whole life, but we'll probably never realize it. He says in his own terms at the end of that section, the church is not a toll house. It is the house of the Father, where there is a place for everyone with all their problems. There is a place for me, there's a place for you, there's a place for everyone. And I'm respecting 10 minutes, he said. Follow the law of Pope Francis. Any priest who talks longer than 10 minutes, he should go hire a hall. So I think I have 2 minutes left. I simply wanted to share what I think is a seminal story of who Pope Francis was to us and the church as a living human being. He went to visit a parish in Rome. He was the Bishop of Rome. A little boy called Emmanuel went to the microphone and had a question to give the Pope. But the little boy froze. He couldn't speak. He cried. What was he going to do? The Pope beckoned him and said to the boy, Vieni, Vieni, come here. The boy went to him, crying. The Pope embraced him, let him cry, and eventually said, tell me your question. And the boy told Pope Francis into his ear the question. And then, publicly, he said that the little boy wanted to know if his father, who was an atheist and recently died, would go to heaven. Pope Francis assured the boy that God does not abandon a good man or a good woman. What I share today has everything to do with the gospel. Thomas is known as the doubter, but that didn't mean he became the outsider. It didn't mean he was pushed out. It didn't mean he was excluded. He was embraced evermore. The church of John's gospel, the community of John, was defined by being believers. And in being a believer, that meant each and every one, all of us, were friends of Jesus. Jesus, our companion on the way. Jesus, our companion who held our hand. Jesus, who embraced us at every moment. Jesus is the most intimate friend we could ever have. And do we even know it? Do we get it? We can know the gospel and we can live it because of what we see it meaning in the lives of other people, how we're seeing it being lived. And one person who showed us the way of the Church of John's Gospel was Pope Francis. So thank you, Francis. You remain with us. God bless you. And let us keep being intimate friends of Jesus, living life to the full, lifting each other up and making the most of a great life.